Okay.
Hello everyone, it's the Old Pro, Michael Harmon, and I'm coming to you today from one of my favorite places in the world, Casa de Campo, the wonderful resort at Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. And I'm with a dear old friend of close to 35 years now, Mr. Gilles Ganion, the director of golf and now director of something else. We'll talk about that when we get into it. Here at Casa de Campo, this was the face of the place. It has been the face of the place for 4 decades. He's got some wonderful stories to tell about Mr. Dye, the facility, the resort, everything about it. I'm sure there's some good funny stories as well. We are thrilled to be here. I'm playing in the international program for, I think, my 30th time now. So I love this place. There's no better place to get away in the dead of winter than the Dominican Republic and Casa de Campo. I am thrilled to have you here today, Pro. Delightful to have you.
I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be with you. Trust me.
We will get into quite a few things. We're sitting in a beautiful home here that we're in for the week, and regrettably have to go back to snow, back into the mountains of North Carolina on Saturday. So I'm enjoying my last little bit of sun. Gilles, we've known each other a long time. Give people an overview of who you are, where you grew up. I knew you were Canadian. I knew you were in Montreal. You're a Canadiens fan, I'm assuming.
I am.
They're
terrible right now. No, not Maple Leafs.
That was always my team.
No.
You played hockey.
Yeah, I played.
And then moved into golf. So give them a bit of an overview on who you are, where you came from, and then we'll get into this beautiful place.
All right, well, I'll make it a little shorter, but yeah, I grew up in Montreal, and I was going out with the, played junior hockey, and I was going with the junior Canadian when Régent Houle and all these Perot, and I went there, and I was on the team at the time, and I realized that at 5'5", which I'm probably 5'4" now, and I was looking at all the talent, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I should do, you know, whatever. So I didn't speak English, and somebody offered me a scholarship at Michigan State University. I went there.
That's right.
And believe it or not, I graduated on time, 4 years, played hockey there. Played in drafted in the World Hockey, and went to the training camp and realized, you know, that was just, I was getting killed, obviously. And so
What year was that?
1972.
Okay. So this was the heyday of the Canadians.
Yeah, and that's when, you know, the Philadelphia Bullies and stuff, and fighting was a lot more important than basically than skating at the time.
And Boston.
And then they had the red line, so a little guy like me couldn't get away as much as now they can do, which I think it's a wonderful rule.
I agree.
So anyway, so I went to Michigan State and then tried to play there, and then went back there, was trying to get the master's degree, and somebody said, hey, there's a job at Colgate University. They're looking for an assistant hockey coach there. So I applied, and when I went there, they said, oh, you know, they were talking. They say, oh, we know you play a little golf. Well, the golf pro just retired. You know, and I said, well, I can do that too in the off season, right? So
Sure. Like
just think about that, right? You go from one, and then I go in as the golf pro there, and I get apply to PGA, and, you know, maybe by then I'm at 3 or 4 handicap, 2 or 3 handicap, but I went in the winter, and while if it was in the hockey, I was studying, you know, what the golf pro's supposed to do, and, you know, the pro shop. Anyway, make a long story longer, I ended up I brought the NCAA there in 1977 because the chairman of the NCAA, Bruce Fossum, was the head coach at Michigan State, the golf, and he loved hockey. So I called him up, and he goes, you can't be a golf pro. He says, you can't play a lick. What are you doing out there, you know? So anyhow, ended up bringing the NCAA in 1977. In 1980, somebody called me and they said, there's a job in the Dominican Republic. They want somebody that kind of ran a decent tournament, can speak a couple languages. Well, I spoke English and French, obviously, because I was, you know, born in Montreal. And I applied for the job. They interviewed me in Miami, and the next thing you know, I don't hear back from them, and they hired Bill Coore Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Pete died because, you know, he wanted to protect these 2 golf courses he had. He wasn't worried about, you know, running 5,000 rounds a year. He was worried about those golf courses. Right. So Bill Coore came down here and he said, you know, I don't want to be a golf pro. You know, I want to design golf course. Well, I was the second guy in line. So they called me and they said, look, you have the job. And I said, excuse me, they didn't say I have the job. They said, we'd like to interview you. You need to come to the Dominican Republic. I said, I'm in upstate New York at Colgate. It's 28 degrees. It's snowing. And if you think I'm going to come down there and you're going to tell me I don't have the job, I might just come back and slit my wrist. So they say, well, I'm sorry. And I hung up the phone and I go, oh, my God, what did I just do? What did I just do? Well, they called me 3 days later and they said, you got a job, come down. And I came down. And at the time, my wife was pregnant and we sold everything we had. Took the job and I sold car, everything I had. And I still remember getting on the plane to come down here, and I had $9,200. I didn't have any debts, but I had $9,200 in the bank. And I'm thinking, if that doesn't work out, I am really in trouble. So that's the story.
And what year was that?
1980.
1980.
Yep, October 1980. I came here.
And they cut you a really good deal.
They cut me an amazing deal. It was like there was a pesos, there was a pesos and dollar deal, and it was like almost 1-to-1 at the time. Now the pesos is 57.8. So they said, well, you could do this, you could do that, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to go with dollars. So they paid me $24,000, a place to live, food because there was no grocery store very close to here, and a car. It was an old Peugeot. They told me a car, but then after I got the car, it was a Peugeot that I had to park on the hill, push it, and kick-start it because it was not auto, you know those. And anyway, so came down here, and my daughter now, one of my daughter that's it's 41 years old, she's probably going to kill me if she hears that, but she was born here. She was born here, and you know, it was just a fantastic life.
She was born here then?
Yep, was born here. So she can't be ever the president of the United States because, you know, she's not a, you know, she has obviously an American passport, but yeah.
At the time, it was the Teeth of the Dog and the Lynx.
Yes.
And did they go in at the same time, or were it was?
No,
it
was Teeth first was 1969, 70. Yeah, and the Lynx came in by 1974 when Pete got the World Amateur here, because it was supposed to happen somewhere, but they had a lot of unrest and it was a big deal, and Pete convinced them to come over here.
I remember, you know, you will remember my dear old friends, Jim Cale.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
Jim was a wonderful man.
Bud Fritz from Philadelphia.
Absolutely, both of them.
And they had those golf villas on the left.
Yep.
And I remember them buying, now at Secession we didn't start till '86, but they were both founding members. So that's what eventually brought me here was through those guys. But I remember them talking about the unrest. Was that politically, it seems to have been very stable for 30 plus years.
But it wasn't here.
Where was it?
No. The unrest was somewhere else in whatever country that the World Amateur was going to happen.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah. It was there. It wasn't here. No, we've never had, you know, obviously Trujillo was the dictator.
Correct.
And I'm trying to think when this has all happened.
Yeah,
but no, since I've been here, this has been the safest place in the world.
My guys and I were talking about that today. This has always been very stable, very comfortable politically. Yep. I mean, is there corruption? Are we sitting here? I mean, there's probably some corruption along the way. Look at in any government, but this one has always been very stable. So the investments were always safe. It seemed like, and those guys jumped into those golf villas. I remember for $45,000.
Yeah, and you know, right now the one that they don't look. You know, I mean, they're remodeling all of them, but. About $700,000 or $800,000 for for those things.
Jim Gale would love that.
Yeah, he would
Jim
love.
Gale, you know, he passed.
Yeah, I know he did.
He passed last year.
Yeah,
a year and a half ago.
Just wonderful, wonderful.
Fritz,
guy. Both of those guys.
Beautiful
they were
guy.
Just great supporter of mine. Yeah.
I told the story about Jim. He had a place down here. I think he followed Pete.
Yep.
Whatever Pete did, he followed him and bought, which is a pretty smart.
Yeah, Pete has never been play. Whatever Pete did go, you know, it didn't turn out too bad, did it?
Well, I know that Jim followed him everywhere, and he said, I was driving with him. We were going up to Altos, you know, at some point. When did Altos come in? 80, 82? 81,
no, well, Frank Sinatra opened it up in 1982, and if you want to look at it, it's called Concert of the Americas. And I was sitting in about 10 rows up, and I wasn't supposed to be there, but one of the owner brought me there. And then at the time, it was owned by Gulf and Western, and Mr. Bluedorn came in about 2 rows down from me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go. I just got here and I'm gone, you know. But yeah, it was an amazing concert. It was really good, really good.
I took John Green, who's a first-time guy here, up there today. It is still mesmerizing.
It is.
To walk around there.
It's amazing.
But I remember Jim. He was such a funny guy. We drove up there, and there were guards up there. They had guns. We always questioned whether they had bullets or not. We weren't sure if they had bullets or not. But
I have a funny story about bullets.
But Jim pulled up to the gate, and now he had the place since '67 or '68 or '69, whenever those came online, and he didn't know 5 words of Spanish. He was there 40 years. He didn't know 5, and he put an O on everything. He told the guy, "No parquero, just turn aroundo."
Yeah. Well, that's all right. I did that for a while myself. Yeah, it is.
How long did it take you to get fluent, by the way?
Well, you know, I'm not necessarily fluent right now. It's just that the caddies can understand, and I can get around the no, but I'm pretty good. So, you know, French, English, Spanish is similar, and I brought some of the first Italians here. Now we have like over 400 of them, and so I kind of understand. You know, I can, you know, because it's similar. I can understand Italian, but I can swear in all 4 languages.
You swear in all 4 languages. Tell me, before we get into Pete, talk about the cross section of countries here has always astounded me. You'll hear German, you'll hear obviously Spanish, you'll hear French, you'll hear Italian. You hear a huge cross section. Tell me about the. You know, where are the it's probably changed through the years, but tell me about that. You brought in the Italians. There's just a wonderful mix of people here.
Yeah, well, there's 60% of the homes here are owned by Dominican, by the way.
60%.
60%. And then you got, you know, again, I can't tell you, yeah, and you know, the reason that's very important is because anytime the government wants to pass a law and stuff that, you know, maybe to hit the rich a little bit, and it's because of the homes here or something, you know, obviously they're going to come in and they go, wait, time out. You know what I mean? That's, so, and we have Italians, and again, I can't give you the percentage-wise,
right.
But we have Italian, we have German, we have French, obviously we have Canadians, and we have some Russians now that are come in, but we have also people from, you know, took off away from Venezuela and Colombia, and so the Latin, we have Cubans, you know, we have, so it's a great, I mean, you could go to a dinner, and which I go through a lot, which sometime I wish I wouldn't, but they're wonderful people. But you sit there and you could literally sit at a table and there'll be 4 languages going at the same time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's about the only spot I've traveled where I have experienced that in my travels, where there is just this massive influence from all over the world.
Yep.
And it really does add to the place. I think it's not just centric U.S. or centric French or centric German. It's all over. It's from all over, and that's one of the real appeals of having come here, that you see so many different people. Talk about Pete. We lost him 2 years ago. I was here. That was the last time we were here before COVID hit.
Yep.
And we were playing on the teeth the day he passed. And he was here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
he was on property.
Yep. He was at the hospital, our old private hospital here.
I thought the monument you did on number 8 on teeth was very good. I took a nice picture of it. I'll put it on the website. I thought that was well done. But talk about his influence. I mean, it extended well beyond the golf. It was the roads, the airport. He loved it here. What captivated him so much about the place?
Well,
this place captivates everybody, but it's not hard to understand. But he had a special affinity for this place.
Yeah, and you know, somebody asked me to do a TED Talk, and I literally didn't know anything about TED Talk. When they say, "Oh, you would like to do a TED Talk," and I said, "What the heck is that?" So anyway, so I did one of those, and basically it was love and passion. It was about Pete and I, the relationship we had. But part of it that I talked about is that Pete Dye changed this entire country. You know, when he built these 2 golf courses, it was fine. He built a golf course, but then, you know, they had Sports Illustrated, and they had, you know, Golf Magazine, Golf Digest that did the story here. And people would land in Santo Domingo, and you probably remember that. It was 2-hour death-defying drive over here, yeah. But, you know, Pete created, you know, thousands of jobs. And, you know, there's people that, you know, in the caddy program, and you know, now you look at people that, you know, they work in restaurant, and you know, we have over 2,000 homes here, and then all of a sudden Punta Cana was developed. You know, I remember going there with Pete. They would drive on a dirt road, and there was nothing there.
Yeah,
so
through the sugar cane.
yeah.
I
So
did that one time.
yeah, and so what Pete really changed this entire country, and he absolutely loved it here. And I met him when I first got here, and I sat on the ninth green with him, and he was asking me about different questions, if I knew about maintenance and stuff like that. And I'm talking to him, well, I was on the committee in Colgate when I was there, and and he said to me, obviously you don't know shit.
You don't know anything.
And I mean, that's his exact word. And he walked away, and I thought, oh my dear God, you know, here's the most important guy. But we became best friend in the world. And I don't know if you know that or not, but Pete's ashes are on the teeth of the dog in a pod bunker, because he wrote that book, Bury Me in the Pod Bunker.
Correct.
And PB, his son, called me one day, and he said, look, he says, we want to do, and so it was actually Herb Kohler and Natalie Kohler, because they were here during pandemic, and it was during pandemic that and it was PB and Jeannie, his wife, and my wife Marilee and I, and we went out there in a little place there in a pod bunker, and we had a nice little, and we put there his ashes and a copy of his book, a little from his dog that, you know, 60, where every dog he's ever had was named 60 because he paid $60 for them. And anyway, so we put there, and we said, you know, a few words, and that was it. But
is that bunker
I'm not gonna,
secret?
I'm not. Yes.
That's cool. That's good.
And the reason it's a secret is because, you know, we don't want anybody to go one day get drunk and decide they're going to go do some stupid things,
Exactly.
you know. So
Well,
there's only, you know, basically 6 people that know where it is. Well, maybe the kid that from the maintenance that put the sod back on. But, you know, Pete was, the time we spent together, and when I did this and when I talked about that, still brings tears to my eyes. But I took him one day, and when he was basically had lost, you know, I mean, he was dementia. We took out, and we sat there on 6 on the cart, on 6 and 7. We were on the tee there, and I said, Pete, you did good. You did really good.
Yeah.
And he turned towards me, and I knew by then, you know, but he had a few tears in his eyes and a smile on his face.
You got through.
And I went back, and I wanted to, even to this day right now, I get goosebump, and I can have tears in my eyes. But, you know, he always supported me. A few times I should have been fired for whatever shooting my mouth, and he, you know, he bailed me out. But when he had cancer, he wanted to talk to me, and he, you know, it was, we had this amazing relationship from a guy, you know, a Canadian kid out of Montreal, living in a little basement with my mom and my brother, and here's this guy that, you know, became one of the most famous golf architects in the world. We meet here, and all of a sudden, you know, he would call me literally every week. His wife, you know, Alice was tough. She was a great lady, but she would chew me up a few times about things. But we were, you know, if I'd called him and I said, Pete, you know, I need something, I guarantee you would have been here. But when you needed me, I was there for him also. So that's
he was a
great.
Remarkable individual. And
Yeah.
he was, and
I have a sip of something here because I'm going to have a little tears in my eyes.
Cheers to Pete.
Cheers, yeah, to Pete, for sure.
You know, he did, he started our course at Secession. And it fell through. He got busy at Kiwa trying to get that ready for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And we kind of lost, we lost him on that one. But I had some really good times with him, but I didn't know him nearly as well as you did. But he was just a very genuine type of person. I think he enjoyed the people here because he was a people type of person. He enjoyed the simplicities. I mean, he was an intricate individual and a very bright individual. And look at his accomplishments around the world golf-wise. I mean, he brought in, he and Fazio and Nicholas, they brought in the modern era of golf. 80.
Yep.
I remember playing the die course at TPC in a tour school in 1980. And you just didn't see stuff like that. You know, his early stuff was kind of subdued. Then it got really big. And you've got two of the juxtaposition of tee and die for, which we had a chance to play today, is remarkable. I mean, they're just, but I just still
just melt when I look at the uniqueness of the third green at Teeth. I mean, that's a plain piece of land. Okay, that is a plain piece of land that he just created something incredible. 13, the par 3.
Yeah, that's, you know, that was ranked, by the way, number 2. You know, we have the Latin American Amateur Championship here now in a couple of weeks, and it's be the 3rd time. And that's ranked number 2 in terms of stroke average and difficulties. I mean, you know, Pete, I walk with him, you know, like he'd say to me, come with me, you know, come, you got to come out and stuff. And I really had no interest in that stuff. And we built, you know, when we first started doing Lato Mata Country, I'd walk with him and I'd say, Pete, you know, he would look, I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden he's thinking, oh, yeah, I can do this. So finally one day I said, Pete, I said, you know, I hate to tell you, I said, I don't see anything. And he says to me, I know it all along, but I like it that you tell me that. But he says, I said, what do you want me out there? He says, to carry the notes, and if you fall down, you can pick me up. That's all he did. But I mean, I would go out there and he'd say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I mean, honest to God, and then, you know, we'd clear up a little bit, and then you could see, you know, a little bit of it. But I'm telling you, if you would see the land that he took, that's absolutely garbage stuff. I mean, just the worst. And then well, TPC, wasn't that like a swamp or something?
Swamp,
yeah. And all of a sudden,
Nothing.
And then, you know, he puts this stuff up, and like you said, and, you know, believe it or not, the teeth of the dog has changed a lot since I've been here. You know, he did it himself, though. He changed, you know, number 18 is going totally the opposite way it used to be. 10 is much easier. You know, I mean, 3, the green was a lot smaller.
10 is stunning.
Yeah.
That's just one of the great short holes.
Yeah, you get sitting there, right? Yeah, well, short hole for you. Me, I'm hitting a little longer place. But, you know, you got a very small landing area, and if you go a little long, it bounces over. I mean, everything he does is, I think he takes a little short, an easy hole and makes it look really hard, and he will take a harder hole, make it look a little easier, and then you get caught on both of this, and, you know, and just, but, you know,
that's the genius right there.
Yeah.
That's the genius. Those short holes, that 10th green, you can make a bogey there in an instant.
It's so easy.
And it should be easy, but it just never seems to be.
Never is.
And to take a piece of land like 13, which was just a nothing piece, he had one tree.
Yep.
He worked that green around. That was it. But then to create what he did there, I mean, you and I could have made a good hole on 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah, we could have put a tee and a green, right? It wouldn't have been that bad.
We could have done that.
Yeah.
We couldn't do
Maybe you could. I'm not
13.
so sure. I don't have much imagination. I can run golf operation, but I'm not sure about imagination.
Now, how did Pete, tell me the earliest story of Pete getting here. Somebody, was it Mr. Von Hool?
No.
How did that happen?
So he was golfing Western, and at the time, well, actually, it wasn't even. I'm not sure if he was in golfing Western, but somehow they called him, and they wanted to build a golf course, but they wanted to build a golf course close to Santo Domingo Airport. And then he went there, and he said, "Well, this is not that big of a deal."
Who went there? Pete did?
Pete did,
okay.
Yeah. They took him in, and he said, "Don't you have any other land?" And they said, "Oh, sure." So they got him in a helicopter. They flew him here. And then he looked at that land here, and he said, well, I want to put a golf course. And they said, well, and I'm not sure which other architect. I don't know if it was Fazio or somebody else actually came here during that time. And somebody said, you need to get Pete Dye. And then they took that land.
What year was that? 65, 67?
Yeah, probably there? Around, yeah. You know, I'm not sure.
And he was not very well known at that
No, but when did... I'm trying to think which golf course he had done. I think he had he had done the golf club, I think, in Ohio by then.
The golf club may have been done by maybe the late
What about Harbor
60s.
Town? What about Harbor Town?
That was 60s, 60s,
Yeah.
67, 60s,
Yeah.
maybe 66. So you're right. If they're looking at that point, he would have done a few.
Yeah.
He would have done the golf club. He would have done Harbor Town really did ink him in, for sure. All right, so that makes sense. So Gulf and Western contacted him.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure at the time if Gulf and Western owned that place. It was owned before by a different company. But, you know, eventually, obviously, that was part of Gulf and Western. And then he built that golf course, and, you know, but there was no hotel rooms. There was nothing here. They built a Lago Grill. And I have an old picture of it that I will be happy
cool.
to share with you. But you see, it's
cool.
just a thatched roof and there's no trees. There was, I mean, the property had very, very little trees.
Really?
So when you stood today, when you're on the Lago Grill, you could literally see from 5 all the way to 15 originally.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't here, but I have a
Wow.
picture
Wow.
that actually when Alice passed away, I got a box one day of FedEx box at my house. We have a home in Florida that just try to get out from paradise every once in a while. And I get this box, and I said to my wife, what did you order now? Again, you know, it's like, what was Amazon over here? You know, so I opened the box, and there's a note in there and says, you know, it was from Alice, and said, Jill, this is, yeah, it was pretty, but I got some amazing pictures, some amazing articles, and basically it was a picture of the original, what this place looked like, and it not even close. And, but yeah, there was, you know, and a lot of the trees were Pete planted it, or you know, through birds and bees, obviously, you know, this stuff, and we did cut a few because it got to the point, like between 4 and 5, for example, on the right side there, it was all trees, and Pete just one day, you know, he's sitting there, and actually the thing was on 15 and 16. You know, you played at 15, the tree, the green's hanging over the ocean there, and the tee was behind, and he had a whole bunch of sea grapes there. And I said to him one day, we're playing, I go, why sea grapes there? One of my brilliant idea. And he goes, then he said, yeah. The next day I go out there and the sea grapes are gone. And you could see, you know, you go over 15, and then he said to me, you know, you could literally drive from, obviously, from Florida all the way up to Maine on 95, and you're going to see trees, but you're not going to see the ocean very often, you know. So he goes, that's what we want to do. We want people to see the ocean.
In fact, I have I won the Low Pro the first time I came here, and I have an artist rendition of 15 green, and there's trees behind it.
Yes.
There's that little cluster of trees
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that didn't last, you know, very long.
Yeah.
But I noticed a lot of tree removal this week.
Yeah, you know.
Kind of opened it up.
Yeah.
Why the tree left of 14 gone? Did it die?
On
teeth.
Excuse me.
I was floored.
Oh no, yeah, no, that I don't even want to talk about that. I'm so mad about this. That was just.
I didn't
they said there was a disease or whatever, and they cut this thing, and it totally changes the hole. It doesn't make because now you can fire it up on the left side, and then you got an easy chip on the green, basically, or a little pitch, where before you could be behind the tree. Yeah.
That surprised me.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned 4 earlier. That's been opened up, and it looks nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the bulk of them, I think, looks very nice.
Yeah, and it doesn't really hurt. It doesn't change anything. The trees on the right didn't change anything. It was just a question that all of a sudden now you see the ocean. You know, that was the deal. But
I think that side is more enjoyable to most of the people I bring down here because as you play 3, you know, you come out from that little chute at the tee box, and then all of a sudden, poof, there it is.
You got the ocean.
If it were trees, you wouldn't pick it up until you get to 5.
Yeah.
So you see it on 3 and 4, and so that area opened up on 4 was a good change.
Yeah, but you see, technically you could see the ocean on 1. Yeah. You can see on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you get to the green, you can look back. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it on 10. 11, now we have homes that they built so you can't see. Right. So 12, 13, but then you see 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of places. And as a matter of fact, at one time, I think he told me that maybe now there's golf courses that have more, but this place had more holes on the ocean than any other golf course in the world. And
breathtaking.
Yeah.
It was. We played the first practice round, or the first day at Teeth, and one of our guys is his first time here, and we started on 10, and so I said, I just can't wait to drive you from 14 green to 15 tee, and then, and it's just magnificent. And there's just not many quite like it.
No.
I'd love to see some of the old ones. We'll have to pass some photos.
Yeah, no, I'll be happy to show it to you before you leave. The other thing, you know, during the World Amateur, when they went to 14 to 15, they call it the reload alley. Because they got to 15, you know. And there's a story, because Jerry Pate was part of the team. And he told me about the story with Japan was leading, I guess, and there was one guy left out there, and the only thing he had to do, well, It's not that easy, 15, 16, 17, 18. But what he had to do basically shoot one over par, and he went bogey, double, double, triple or something. You know, I mean, that ocean. And it happened even during the Latin American Amateur a few years ago, where the kid was leading going to 17. And, you know, it's like these kids hit it so far that they could literally hit a 3-iron off that tee, you know, hit it like 240 or whatever, and then you got 100, you know, 200 yards, which for them it's like whatever, 7-iron. But he hit the driver and he pulled it out, and then he blocked one in the ocean. But and the only thing that I'm a little disappointed about this is that they're switching to 9 now. So the front 9, you know, 1 through 9 will now be the back 9. I guess for television, because the sun's set in the west, and then the TV, you know, the cameras, and they actually, the last day, they make number 8 a drivable par 4. They play from the, you know, the forward tees, not the lady, you know, not the forward, but the other one, and these kids can get there with 3-wood. Thing is that we've had kids block it out of bounds, and you know, so they say, but you know what? It's a lot easier to finish on 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9 versus 15, 16, 17, 18, because the wind comes from the you know, from the north. So when you play 5, if you're a right-hander, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you know, basically you can hit the little, you know, a little draw in there, and you block it, you're okay. When you get to 17, the wind's coming over your left shoulder. For me, because I'm lefty, is opposite, but it's coming over your left shoulder, so you don't want.
You were lefty.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, you stand there. So anyway, I'm not. But it did make it exciting. The last time, one kid bogey and the other kid birdie, and it totally turned everything around. But so yeah, because 9 now, you know, it doesn't matter. These par 5, these kids are hitting whatever, and then they're on the green.
I bet you they still have trouble with 3.
Yeah, 3. You know, because 3. Even if you're going to try to hit it in 2, the green is like, you know, it's like big. Like somebody said about number 5, I said, you know, number 5, it's like try to hit a golf ball on a beach towel. You know what I mean? Because that thing is like that, right? And it, I mean, and the tree is coming in on the right side there. Exactly right. Oh my God, it's like I don't know. This golf course, you know, you can make 17 pars and shoot 85. I mean, you know, if you go stroke play.
I was telling my guys, one year. I've been fortunate enough to win several times here. We've won several individuals, and our team's won a few races through the years. I knew I had a lead coming to 16, 17, 15, 16, 17. You know, you don't know, but I played well, and I knew I needed to hang on. And there was a 40-mile-an-hour wind blowing from the right. And I remember that as just like yesterday. There was no way I was going to hang the ball out 40 yards into the ocean.
No way.
And so I hung it a little bit out there, blew it left of the green, got it up and down on 15, 16. Hung it out there a little, but I'm not going to hang it out there to get it on.
Exactly.
Left the green, got it up and down. 17, exact same thing. Got it up and down, went on to cover. You can't. I mean, there's nothing harder coming in than a 30, 40-mile-an-hour wind coming in to the right. 17, it's not as big as this little hut.
I know. It's nothing there. But the thing is, like what you're saying is absolutely, you know, I've played it, I don't know, thousands of times, and I'm not the type of player you are, but when I play this golf course, there's 2 things. 15, short left is perfect, you know, unless you got a little short iron. You know, 16, there's enough space to the left. I'm a pretty good chipper. Go left. 17, short left, you can chip up. That's all you want to do. That's it. You just don't want to just take it on nothing because, you know, you can pull it and it's in the water and then all of a sudden it's double or triple.
All right, tell me, what happened with the rocks on 2? How did that evolve?
That's a funny, so again, that's what Pete telling me. So
I must apologize. For those of you that haven't played Teeth of the Dog, you need to come see it, but there's so many intricacies here. I can't help getting past the master here on this one. We need to have the answers on some of this stuff. So, 2.
So 2, Pete is you know, it's very rocky terrain. Obviously, you know, they got rocks everywhere. So he takes some rocks and he's trying to line the fairway, show him where the fairway is going to be, right? So he's putting rocks, you know, a rock
so
here, rock there.
Yeah,
just say, okay, this is the line that I want. Well, these kids understood that's where he wanted the rocks, right? So all the rocks right of that, they took all the rocks and they piled in and threw it in there. And then Pete comes back and he looked and he goes, wow, this is a pretty good idea. So that's where all those rocks are on the left, and then eventually you put those, you know, his little railroad ties that's on there that kind of make, you know, makes the, basically determine the fairway. Yeah. So anyway, so you put that there, and that's all it basically came about.
I've always wanted to know that.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen that anywhere else. There's probably something in Hawaii, you know, with lava or something that where it just crept up and they make it a hazard. But that one is bizarre.
Pete, Mike, funny enough about Pete Dye is that he was always open to other people's idea. You know, I would go with him sometime. I would say something, and sometime he'd call me like I've been hit by too many hockey pucks, you know, in my head and stuff. But he would, you know, I would talk to him, and he would say. Well, actually, he wouldn't say anything. You know, he would just kind of wouldn't say much. And, you know, he would do things. And number 8, for example, you know, the tee is hanging like on the ocean, right? And this thing was blown out, I can't tell you how many times. And I'd get the guys. They'd come over and stuff, and they'd pile it up. And, you know, that one little big wave came in and wipe it out again. So one time he says to me, he says, when are you going to learn? I said, I'm going to learn what? He goes, if you put your hand like this, and I'm hitting it like that, he says, what do you think is going to happen? He said, eventually you're going to, you know, if I slap you enough, you're going to give up. But if you put your hand like this, and I go like that, so he said, when you put that tee, what you do is you put rocks, and you put rocks down in an angle like this. So when the wave comes, they might go over, but not going to hit, and eventually the bottom breaks down, and the tee collapses.
Softens the blow.
Right? So the deal is that it came in, so you put rocks hard enough that you know, I mean, we get that tee a lot of times, the erosion, you know, you know, the grass would whatever go. But the idea was that it rolled over and it didn't keep hitting the bottom of it because then it would collapse all the time.
Right. It's deflecting the blow.
Yeah. It just, you know, like I said, this way versus that way. So he would say that to me, you know, things. And again, I've never had any intention to do any golf courses or anything. But he'd come up with stuff all the time, you know. I mean, or he would, you know, he was a really good chip. He was pretty good, you know. I could chip and putt sometime, and he would say, "Yeah, there's no American and very few Canadian can hit that shot." You know, he would come up with stuff, and we played golf, and he got to the point where I'm trying to think if it was on the 80th birthday. We're playing with his son PB and stuff. We played all the way back, but he would hit the drive, and then he would put the tee, you know, in the fairway and hit it again, and stuff like that. But if I remember, I think he shot like 80. He shot his age. Okay, he teed it up, but I don't really care. He was playing like 70, 200 and some yards. But he was a great player, little pop putter, you know, and stuff like that. And he shot his age a million times, you know, every time I play with him. And
he could play.
He could play.
Good hands.
He played in the Open, you know. He played in the Open. And he tells a story about... God, you're asking me. But I know that he played, and I can't remember which tournament, but he was playing, his buddies were there, and he's playing in a final in this event. And he said, there's a little fat guy with blonde hair on the tee, and he says, if I get beat by that guy, I'm going to give up the game. And he gets on the first tee, and he says, it's a dog leg right. And he says he whips it down the middle, and this little fat blonde kid hits it right over the trees, and he says he gets beat 5-4, and it was Jack Nicklaus.
I do remember that story.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many. Somebody said to me the other day, as a good friend of mine, Michael Patrick Shield, that has a show they call The Big Show in Michigan. He's a radio guy, and he wrote a book about Mr. President. You know, he was close to Bush, and he comes down and he keeps saying, Jill, one of these days we got to sit down and we got to, you know, get these stories. Just get these stories, and, you know, before you're too old and you can't remember. But, yeah, it's, you know, 41 years, if somebody would have told me at whatever time in my life that I could have and be, you know, what I have today, you know, I would have thought, you know, I won the greatest lottery of all time. And my dream was to have a little trailer in Daytona Beach, Tomoka Oaks. When I was at Michigan State, we took a trip, and I was there playing golf, and I look at this, I said, you know, when I retire, this is what I'd like to have. And here I am living in paradise and meeting people like you, and play with 3 presidents and Prime Minister of Canada, and spend all that time with one of the greatest golf person, literally, not a golf course arcade, the person, you know.
Well, you said it. He personally is responsible for the advancement of a country.
Absolutely. 100%.
Dominican Republic would not be where it is today
without him.
Without him.
You know, they might have done stuff, beach club or whatever, you know, beach things, but you know, golf. All of a sudden now, Nicholas built a golf course here. Faldo did one which didn't make it. Trying to think who else is here. There's there's a whole bunch of people. You know, PB Dye obviously has built 27 holes. Yep. His son's done it, and Jones in Playa Grande built that, and so you know they build these golf courses, and this has become a very special destination for golf.
It is. It's one of the. It's almost like a Pinehurst in the sense that the golf is central. The golf is absolutely the central element. I mean, you've got great food, the restaurants, all of that you've seen that improve. I've seen that improve.
Oh, absolutely.
In 30 plus years now, 34, 35 years, you 41, 42. But there's an overriding position of golf here. And that's why I'm so mesmerized by the global attraction here. I love that. It's not just a Canadian to the U.S. or the U.S. or a French or German to Scotland.
Yeah,
it's worldwide, and he's personally responsible for that. What a phenomenal legacy. I mean, on top of everything else he did.
Yeah.
He helped establish a country in the modern society and brought in, look, the revenue. How many rounds of golf are you playing here now?
Well, at one time when I was running the golf operation, we counted the rounds. It depends how you count. Somebody goes back out, you count it. Somebody 9 holes, 8 holes. Right. But we were doing like 80, 90,000 rounds. But now if you count it properly, 18 rounds, we're probably doing close to 60,000. I think now. Yeah.
About the country club, how many rounds do you play there?
That's I was there today. I think there was 5 of us out there. No, there was a few more people. But there's close to 400 members. Right. But I'm probably one of the younger honorary members there, and I'm 73. No, but we're starting out to, we understood the idea of letting, let's say I'm a member and my kids can join without paying the initiation fee or something. They pay a certain amount of dues, and so we're turning, but. I don't know, maybe 12, 14,000 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's during the holidays, we have 27 holes there, and during Christmas, we're pretty busy. But it's, it's seasonable. Christmas time, there's 12, 15 days, Easter time. And a lot of these people, in the morning, everybody hears, everybody thinks they got to play at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's cooler. It's not cooler. It's cooler like right now. We're sitting, right? So you play about, like me, I play golf every afternoon. I work in the morning, 12:30. Whatever, I have a little lunch, 1:30, guys are writing, and we go play. And you go 1:30, and now, 6 something, it gets darker, but it's beautiful. You play tee to the dog, for example, the sun's setting, you get a beautiful breeze. At 10 o'clock in the morning, between 8:39 to 2, that's the hottest time of the day. So, and then people go, oh, I want to spend time with my kids. Well, you spend time with your kids in the morning. You tee off at 1:30, you went to the beach, whatever. Your kids don't want to deal with you anymore. You go play golf, and then you're done for a cocktail and dinner.
You don't see many people that come down here that play late in the afternoon.
No, and I'll tell you, Ladomana Country Club, you go there, all the members play in the afternoon. They got smart enough. They go, what am I going to get up in the morning? I go on my boat. Yeah, I go on my boat, go to the beach, play golf in the afternoon.
Tell me, what's the future hold for Gilles Ganion?
Well, people think I retired. I got to a point a few years ago, my wife had a little health issue, and I talked to the owner, and I said, and we were dealing with a little different things here, and I wasn't happy at the time, and he said, well, do you really want to retire? And I said, well, not really. He goes, well, you bring a lot of people here, you've been here a long time, and the Van Hoel, Alfie Van Hoel is basically the head, and he's been so amazing to me, and I'm so grateful to work for him. But what we did basically is that I did everything the same, except that he said I brought all these people. And I created pretty much every event except one. So he said, why don't you continue to do that? Bring people here, and basically what I do is I try to bring him here and then send him home. But I put happy with great memories. So what I do is I put, like buddy trips together and events and stuff like that. And like the event you played in, and thank you for being so supportive to me all these years. But so I bring a lot of business, a lot of golfers, and you know, maybe they'll put my ashes next to Pete Dye. You know, I mean, that would be nice. And I don't want to do that right away, though. I want to wait a little while longer. But, yeah, people, you know, I am, you know, what am I going to do? Retired. I'm going to play golf. I play golf. I'm going to move to a great place. I'm already here. So where am I going? You know, I mean, there's no place that I want to go, you know, more. And I get people that call me and email me and say, Gilles, I want to bring 12 guys, 16 guys. And I put a package together. And the difference with what you guys go on, people go online and book a package is I customize everything. You know, you want to do this. You want to go a little more to the beach club. You want to play teeth of the dog more or more, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, you want to come for 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights. You want to bring your wife for 2 nights. She's going home because she got to go back, or whatever the heck it is. I put it together, and that's what I do. And then I make sure when they get here, I have 3 or 4 girls that work for me that, you know, watch over you, make sure that everything is good, that your restaurant reservation is done, your tea times are made, and I love it. You know, I get bitched at a little bit at times, but, you know, people are a little more picky these days than they used to be. You know, I mean, if something is not perfect, and listen, you're in the Dominican Republic, so maybe it takes a little longer to get a drink. Yeah. You know, they're not moving as fast.
Chill.
You know, just chill, man. I mean, look at that right now. You know, you're not a cloud in the sky. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's cool. It's absolutely perfect. You can find a place, and I know I'm a little prejudiced maybe, but if you can find a place anywhere in the world as a golfer that's better than this, let me know.
I agree.
Because I might go.
And kudos to Casa de Campo for finding that special niche for you.
That's
very special.
Very grateful to, like I said, the ownership. Yeah, it's like, you know, you have a little problem right now, you know, wife a little hell, you just take care of her, we'll take care of everything else. That's the type of person. And yeah, it's you know, the kids are taking over now, you know, the son-in-laws, and you know, the kids of the Central Romana, the company here that are Dominican, and all of them have this tradition of let's take care of the people. You know, if they're loyal to us, we'll be loyal to them, and they are loyal to the employees here. And like you said, Pete died, people love them, but the people work in this company, I think, understand. I mean, during pandemic, they never stopped paying people. 5 months. We were basically March, April, May, June, July. 5 months. They never stopped paying the people. You know, and we were shut down. I mean, literally nothing. My wife and I stayed here, and it was great because we take a walk and, you know, whatever, played a little golf somewhere else because that place over there was open. Here we stuck with the government ruling, but they paid everybody. That doesn't happen.
Quality place. It's a quality place, and it's been a quality place for the almost 4 decades I've been here. I've enjoyed watching it mature, but the central theme of the place was always warmth. The people. It's the people of the Dominican Republic. They're just so warm, so engaging, and you've gotten a front row seat on all of this. Wow. And my friends, this is a legend. This is the face of Casa de Campo, and if you haven't been here, make sure that you make a quick trip down soon. There's nothing like it. And I am just thrilled that we got to sit together for just a little bit of time and enjoy this. And I can't thank you for all the kindness you've shown me for almost 40 years now. And what a delight it is to come back, and closing in on 70. I hope there's many, many more trips down here. The golf's not very good for me now.
Yeah, well,
that hardly matters, does it? It's really about being with good friends and being at a place like this, and you have done superbly, my friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and I just told you that before we started. You know, I've been a member now of the PGA for, I don't know, 45 or 46 years, but there's a few golf professionals that when you look at in the history of the golf, you know, and you're one of them, and Laurie Hammer and Bob Ford, and you're the kids today, the kids that are getting in the PGA that want to become golf professional. I really wish the PGA would, you know, have you go and bring you in there and talk about what you did and what you created. And you know, I mean, it's I've always looked up to you in terms of what you've done, and I know you say, you know, a legend I've done, but I've looked at people like you because I wasn't a golf professional. You know, I was a hockey player, But those are the type of thing you look, you know, today. Good player, great people, you know, great person, you know, you treat your member amazing. You've created, you know, golf operation and things like that. And the kids that work for you, I'm sure, are getting great jobs. And that's what it's all about. They need to have some, you know, a way to look at role model. And you're one of them. And I thank you. I'm honored that I had the chance to do this with you. And hope I can welcome you and your member for a long time to come.
Well done, bud. Well done.
Thank you.
Delight.
Great.
Absolute delight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you again next time. So long.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. That was good.
You did well.
That was fun. Thank you.